Hey everyone, Ram and Avram here again for AE Tuts, and welcome to the third and last part of the Funky Particles tutorial. Now, over the last two parts of the tutorial, we discussed the structure of sound keys and its different features. We also went through some various uses that we can do with it. If you haven't watched these two parts, I encourage you to do that before you continue on with this part of this tutorial. Anyway, let's have a quick look on what we've got here. Once again, I've got an audio track which I combined from three different audio tracks. I created an adjustment layer, applied sound keys to it, and I tracked the bass as well as the guitar, the maracas, bells, and bongos. Let's have a quick preview of what we're going to create with all these sound keys layers. So that looks pretty cool. Let's get started, shall we? Let's create a new solid, call it bass, and we're going to apply particular. Okay, I'll open the emitter and I want to emit 5,000 particles per second, and I don't want any velocity, so let's switch all those to 0. We'll set a keyframe for the emitter position XY, and let's move it to about minus 5,000 and move over 2 seconds and set it to plus 5,000, so we get a straight line. And since I want the line to start from the start of the animation, I'll hit U and let's move this layer to start here at the second keyframe. So basically we got a straight line which doesn't do anything, and it ends after 2 seconds. Actually it ends after 3 seconds or 4 seconds. Let's take a look. Let's move over to particle. Let's increase the life to 30 at least. Okay, now it lasts the whole composition. And now let's see. I'm not going to make it a step-by-step exactly how I did the preview you just saw. What I am going to do is show you the basic principles on how to do it. Basically, what's going to give the rhythm to the to this line is these keyframes we got from the sound keys. Let's hit U on the bass. So as you can see, we got three outputs here, three keyframe groups. First, I want to create that circle in the middle of the line. So let's go over to physics, air, turbulence field. Let's switch on visual fields and go to spherical field, increase the strength to 100. Now this red circle won't render, it's just a visual helper. I would like the radius to sort of dance to the rhythm. So let's alt click on the stopwatch and pick whip it to the one of the outputs, let's say output 1. Okay. Couple of things here. Over the air section are great values to connect to this sort of thing, and those will be the spin amplitude. So let's connect the spin amplitude to the output 2. And these particles are way too big, so let's make them smaller. And let's see. Let's increase the fade-in spin seconds. We'll get a smoother line here. Another great value to mess with is the effect size. So let's connect that one as well. And let's connect it to the third output. That's a bit too rough actually. So let's add divide by 3 at the end. Another great value to mess with is the effect position. So let's alt click on that one and connect it to the output 1 again. And you know what? Let's increase the fading speed. Let's increase the effect position. Let's make it times 4. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. And I think we can increase the radius size. It's a bit too small, so let's make it times 5. Let's remove the visual helper here. Let's have a quick preview. Okay, so now let's create a new solid, make it a different color, and we'll call it guitar. So, and let's apply particular. Let's remove the eyeball from the base layer for a second. Once again, let's lower the values on the velocities to 0, so we'll get a single dot, and we'll add a wiggle expression. Now, after experimenting for a while, I found that 5,500 is the best values to simulate the particles dancing to the rhythm of the guitar. We'll have a quick preview. It almost seems to dance to the rhythm of the guitar. Now the lines are too linear, so let's set the position subframe to 10 times linear. That will take care of that. And next, I would like to increase the gravity, so the line won't remain where it is, it will fall down. Let's say 500. Let's see, we want to connect the velocity, so I'll click on the stopwatch, pick whip it to one of the outputs, let's say output 1, and what do you know, we get a real nice popcorn sort of a look. And once again, it's the particles here are too big for my taste, so let's lower the size to about 2, and of course we can play with the randomization of them. Now one thing we didn't do with the last particles, with the base particles, is we didn't set the color, and let's set the color here to overlife, and immediately we get some nice coloring here. Let's go to the color overlife section. Here we got some nice color templates, and I'm just gonna move along until I find a nice color template, and I think this one should be nice. And let's hit the random button. Of course I can do this manually, but so often you get surprising results here. I think I'll stick with this one. Okay, set the transformer to add. Should give us a nice glow where it clashes. And let's see, over the physics, let's set the spherical field once again to 100, and we'll connect the radius to output 2. That's a bit too small. Where is it? Let's make it times 3. That looks nice. And let's see, the velocity is a bit too rough, so let's divide it by 3. Let's connect the effect position again to output 3. I'm pretty satisfied with that. Let's move over. Let's shut it down for a second. Create a new solid, make it a different color, maybe green. Apply particular to it, and let's see. Actually, you know what? For the maracas, I think I would like to use the guitar particles again. So let's duplicate that one and rename it to maracas. And since it was such a nice color, let's change the color back to that nice green. And let's set the starting point over here and switch it on. Okay. And now let's see. First, let's apply a different color. Now that is one hell of a purple. I would like to switch on the aux system. So let's switch it to continuously, and immediately we get some freak out psychedelic monster. Okay, let's see how we can deal with that. First, I don't think we need 10 lines coming out of our particles, so let's switch it to 5. Okay. And the emit probability, let's set it to 75. Should be nicer. Let's lower the size to 3. Let's set the size of a life, and let's flip that one, and let's hit U to see what we've got here. Now the position is connected to a wiggle expression. If I'll choose the 500 and pick whip it to the output 1. Okay, so we get some really interesting stuff here. Let's see if we can increase that monster. Let's make it times 4. Wow. That really is something else now, isn't it? The gravity is a bit too rough here, so let's lower that to 20, maybe? Okay, that's looking better. But I do want a lot more scatter than what I've got here. So let's see, the velocity right now is divided by 3. Let's make it... let's see how we can... oh, now that, my friends, is looking quite interesting, no, isn't it? Let's lower the particle amount for a second. Let's switch the gravity to -5, and now if we'll lower the emission probability to 25%, we'll lower this one to 2, maybe even 1. Okay, I'm happy with what I've got here. So I know I'm drifting away from the preview you've seen at the beginning of this tutorial, but what I really want to show you is the versatility of these two plugins combined together. And this is actually a great example of what we can achieve with just experimenting with these two plugins. Let's remove it for a second here. Let's create a new solid, make it yellow, and let's apply particular to it, and we'll call it bells. First set the particle amount to 2000. Now as for the position, let's once again apply wiggle to it, and all this time we'll use 3,500. I also would like to connect the position Z to the position XY, and of course I could have just apply wiggle 3 times 500 and I would get absolutely the same result. But then if I would like to change this 3 to 5, I would have to do the same here. And if I would like to change the 500 to 540, I would have to do the same here, and so on and so forth. And that will be very tedious. So a simple solution would be to connect the position XY, and every change that I will do here will apply to the other one as well. Moving on, let's set an expression to the X rotation time 50. We'll apply the same expression to the Z rotation, so let's pick with it to the X rotation. Okay, let's set the velocity random to somewhere in the area of 90. Let's move over to our particle. Let's set the size to 2, and let's lower the opacity a bit. Set the color to over life, and let's choose a nice template and then a nice color. This looks nice. And let's set the transfer mode to add. Okay, let's close this one up, and let's move over to the interesting part, which is physics. Now let's set the gravity to 40 and open up the air section. In the turbulence field, let's connect effect position to the sound keys, output 1. Let's lower the amount here. Let's make it times 5, so we'll get a smoother result. Okay, let's close this one up and move over to the aux system. Switch it to continuously, and let's see, particles per second, let's set it to 55. We'll set the size to 2. We'll set the opacity to somewhere like around 5, so we'll get this sort of flares going on, sort of a fireworks thingy going on. We want the particles to get their color from the main particles, so we'll set color from main to 100, and we'll set the gravity to 200. That way we get this falling effect. and we'll set the transformer to add, and over the control for main particles we'll set the inherent velocity to 30, so we'll get even more falling effect and a bit of the velocity from the particles. Over at the physics we'll set the turbulence position to 200, which will give us this stringy thingy. And what we also can do is connect the turbulence position to output 1, which will actually give us a lower value than we had before, but we can of course increase it. Of course I could have stayed with just the 200, but now I'll get a wiggly sort of effect from it. It's a bit too rough, I think, so I'll make it ×3. Okay, and I think we got quite enough out of it. Last but not least, let's set the bongos. Okay, create a new solid, make it red, and let's call it bongo 1. For the bongos, let's first actually reveal the outputs. Now for the bongo, I won't use a particular. What I would like to use is form, and let's set the start of the layer to be over here, and let's see. Now I don't know if you know this, but form has a real nice option of not using a box but a sphere, and there you go. That's most of the job already done for you. Let's see if we can take it up a notch. What I would like to do to this sphere is disperse and twist it. Let's connect disperse to one of our outputs, and it is a bit too rough, so let's divide it by 5. Okay, and we can divide it even more, by 8 maybe. Now a real nice option that is built into form is the audio react. We got several reactors here, and if we'll set the audio layer to our audio and set the map to sphere 1 strength, and immediately we get a reaction, and you can use it in various ways, but for this tutorial I'm not going to use it. So let's all click the displace and connect it to the output 2, and that's a bit too rough, so let's divide it by 2. One last thing I would like to connect is the center Z over the base form, so I'll alt click on it and pick whip it to the output 3, and let's increase it a bit, make it ×4, maybe ×8. Okay, let's move it to the left a bit here, and set the size to 400 by 400 by 400, and let's duplicate this one, and we'll move it back to its original position, and duplicate one more time, and move that one to the right. And now if we'll hit U to get different results, we can just reattach these values. So output 3 will be output 1, output 1 will be output 2, and output 2 will be output 3, and so on and so forth. You get different results just by using 3 different values extracted from the audio. Now let's bring in some color to these bongos. Let's make one red, the second one green, and the third one will be naturally blue. Now let's start bringing in all those other parts, and we've got a real celebration here. We can lower the opacity in the maracas to about 25 even. A few other things I used in the original preview. I created a nice lens flare using one of Video Copilot's optical flares presets, and I attached it to the position of the guitar emitter, and I did the same for the bongos, and I added a nice glow, let's say glow to the bass. Let's add a nice glow to all of these, and since I'm using a 32-bit BPC, I get a real nice result. You can see if I'll decrease it to 8, it just sort of fades away, but if I'll set it back to 32, it really leads up. Now this composition here is really heavy on the average guy's machine. So what I did is I pre-rendered every part separately in a PNG format. So I will have the option if I would like to set the transfer mode to add, which I did in some cases. And after pre-rendering these layers, I added a new adjustment layer and applied to it Real Smart Motion Blur, which gave it that final touch. Then created a nice background, full color gradient. Let's get rid of the motion blur for a second here, so we can walk faster. And actually let's isolate the background, and I used dark colors, dark greens and reds, and just mess around with it till you get something you like. And that's just about it, folks. Well, as you can see, the most important part when working with this kind of compositions is experimenting as much as you can, because you get so much wonderful and unexpected results simply by experimenting. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I've been yapping at you for this last 3-part tutorial. My name is Ramban Avraham. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.